Without a good hook, people won't listen to what you have to say.
To learn how to better write, communicate, edit and design content, like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell.
It's worth repeating that your audience is busy. They're not passively waiting to hear from you. They have other interests and other content that's competing for their attention. Even if your audience is seated in a meeting room next to you, confined and primed to listen to your presentation, their minds will still likely be elsewhere. It's your job to immediately grab their attention and seek to hold it as you communicate with them and tell your factual story. And the best way to do that is to open your content with a powerful hook. So called because it's an opening statement that hooks your audience's attention, as a literal hook may catch a fish. Once hooked, your audience has little option but to invest further time and energy finding out more about your content. Hooks invite the audience to react, to engage, and to expect your story to reveal more, either to wonder what comes next or to hear the answer to a question. Hooks are so powerful that marketing slogans and advertising copy are often nothing more than good editorial hooks. So what makes a good hook? A good hook can derive from making a provocative statement. By this time next year, our organisation will be bankrupt. A report by Human Resources could start with that hook, one that will get the attention of all who hear it. The statement in isolation is unlikely to be literally true, but it doesn't have to be if the following line then provides some caveats and context. For example, by this time next year, our organisation will be bankrupt if every one of our employees decided they no longer wanted to come to work. So how do we provide the best working environment possible for all our staff? The opening hook has won the audience's attention, sharpened their minds, and focused them on the key issue to hand. The success and viability of all organisations and companies ultimately depends on having good, productive employees. The audience is now likely to focus on the content of the report that follows. You can hook audiences by asking a provocative question. What are the odds that you're not your father's child? Imagine a piece of content, such as a short marketing video, beginning with that line. Instantly, the viewer is asked to contemplate a provocative, confronting and controversial statement. One that's personal to them, that forces them to question and reevaluate their fundamental place in the world. They will almost certainly stick around to hear the answer. They're hooked. Now, a short film beginning by that line could conceivably be produced by a charity, producing a film about mental health in adolescents. It may then ask other questions, each of which highlights a potential cause of family strife and the resulting impact on children's mental health. Equally, it could be followed by a series of other intentionally challenging statements that become increasingly light-hearted, which draw the audience into a story about something completely irreverent. You can also hook audiences by asking an intriguing question. Why do zebras have stripes? Now that's a question that most people think they should be able to answer. Indeed, an introduction that begins with that hook is challenging them to answer it and to respond, even if that's just in their own minds. Many people in the audience will realise that they don't in fact know the answer, and they'll engage with the content to find out. Or they think they do know the answer, and may then be surprised to find out they're wrong. They will then be compelled to listen to what further you have to say. Such a statement that asks a question like that could frame the opening to almost any piece of communications in which you want to demonstrate to your audience that the world doesn't work as they thought it did. Perhaps that their corporate assumptions are wrong, or that customers have the wrong idea about your product or company, or that you're promoting an initiative that challenges in some way your audience's worldview. Perhaps you continue paying attention in part to discover the answer. Why do zebras have stripes? Well, the answer is they have stripes to protect themselves against biting insects, such as tsetse flies. The stripes are thought to confuse the flies, disrupting the light patterns they use to find food and water. Stripes don't, as many people think, camouflage zebra from predators or make it easier for zebra to tell each other apart. You can introduce your content with a good hook that contains an unexpected voice. So imagine a banking report that's authored by a finance team for consumption by a management committee. Then imagine if the very first statement of that report wasn't made by a corporate professional, but by a 6-year-old child. The child states how her father has died, how her mother works 2 jobs, and how she'd like to know how she could one day have enough money to feed her own family. That opening statement could then lead to a broader illustration of how disadvantaged families are missing out on the company's banking services, and how the bank could better support struggling members of society. That initial unexpected voice would impact the audience far more than any corporate statement or summary. Think about introducing your content with a hook that's an unusual, unknown, or fascinating fact. Box jellyfish have 4 brains and 64 anuses. Now that fact's taken from a book of zoological curiosities, and it's included here as a great example of how facts can, in isolation, work as wonderful hooks, grabbing the attention if they're intriguing enough. Now this fact about jellyfish may only be appropriate to content about animals, or evolution or similar, or to content with an irreverent or even comedic tone to it. But search for the most intriguing, revealing, or powerful facts in your content. And don't be afraid to use them as the first lines of your copy, designed and placed in the introduction to hook your audience. You can hook audiences by promising entertainment. It's always a good idea to entertain your audience, even if you're conveying a relatively serious corporate message. And a good hook can in itself entertain your audience, or allude to entertainment that's going to follow in the content. The previous fact about box jellyfish is entertaining as well as informative. You can entertain in your introduction by hooking audiences with beautiful prose, or by using a quirky or a fun narrative voice, even an amazing or striking image, or a short video clip of entertaining footage that could work as a good content hook. To get their customers' attention, companies, and particularly brands, can often seek to entertain. Think of the now famous line of advertising copy, "Red Bull gives you wings." The words that are now ubiquitously used to promote the energy drink Red Bull entertain more than they strictly inform. They're cleverly playful. They're evocative of the product's benefits while knowingly not asking to be taken literally as a factual statement. Consider combining hook styles. Sometimes you can combine different types of hook. The following is an introduction to a real article I commissioned and edited that appeared in New Scientist magazine in 2002. Jan and her husband have attended 2 funerals in the past 12 years, each time to bury their child, the same child. Now those opening 2 sentences are short but hugely emotional and surprising. They're confronting and provocative. They demand attention and they instantly make the audience think. The full introduction continues as follows. Jan and her husband have attended 2 funerals in the past 12 years, each time to bury their child, the same child. At the first, they cremated Michael, their 4.5-month-old son, who died from suspected septicemia weeks earlier at Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool. At the second, last year, they cremated Michael's organs, including his kidneys, lungs and brain, which the hospital had discovered in jars on a shelf. In short, the story of Jan's family is that of the organ retention scandal that engulfed Britain when it broke in 1999. This powerful introduction framed a major public health issue that plagued the UK's National Health Service, deeply and adversely affecting many patients and their families. The lesson here is less that story and more how emotive hooks can immediately attract and win your audience's respect and confidence. Obviously, none of the previous examples may be appropriate to your content, but they will all likely have gotten your attention. And that's the key point to remember. You need to create a powerful initial hook for your content, which will immediately attract your audience's attention. Don't make the mistake of being too conservative, thinking that a strong hook isn't really appropriate for your factual content or audience. Because without one, people will simply not listen to anything you have to say. Their attention will drift away from your content, and they will spend mental energy thinking about other things in life. And when they do that, the appropriateness of the rest of your content won't matter, as no one will be present to consume it. So always start your content with a good hook.
All you have to do is like and subscribe to this channel to watch the full course of more than 90 videos for free, or visit Amazon to access the 450-page Factual Storytelling Handbook.